Goddesses and gods gather around. Welcome to Myths and Makeup. I'm Vanessa, and I'm thrilled to share my passion of mythology with you while I get ready for the day. Let's uncover the fascinating stories of mythology together, from Athena's wisdom to the captivating stories of the muses and everything in between. So grab your brushes and a mirror, and let's unleash the beauty and magic within. If you were here with me last week, we entered Norse mythology's true villain era. We broke down Loki's legendary roast session, met his half-dead daughter, looked at his world-encircling sea serpent of a son, and learned how the gods used the impossible ribbon made of cat steps and mountain roots to chain up the massive, furious wolf. If you missed that chaos, definitely check that out after this video. Today, as I walk you through this look, we are moving from Loki's monstrous kids to 3 unhinged stories centered around the ultimate master of disguises, Odin himself. We're going to start with King Geirrøðr, a mortal ruler who made a fatal mistake by torturing a disguised Allfather, Suttung, and his family, who held the legendary mead of poetry until Odin pulled off the wildest of heists. And Hrungnir, a rowdy giant who challenged Odin to a sky race and ended up making Thor really mad. Really mad. So I already did my eyebrows, and as you can see, I've colored my hair. I think it turned out really cute. Since I've already done my eyebrows, let's get into this eye look. I'm just going to do a nice eyeshadow look to go to match my hair. Because why not? With a nice just black wing liner. That is the plan for today. No graphic liner today. So let's get into it. We're going to start with King Geirrøðr. His name probably means peace by spear. Now, Geirrøðr wasn't a supernatural villain. He was just a mortal man who found himself caught in a battle of wits against Odin and ended up dead because of it. In the Viking society, hospitality was sacred, an unbreakable rule. People of all social classes were expected to be warm and welcoming to travelers in need, because you never knew if a ragged, hungry guest at your door was actually a god in disguise. Your entire fate could hinge on how well you treated a stranger, much like the hospitality rules in ancient Greek mythology as well. Our story begins with a king who had 2 young sons, Geirrøðr and Eyjolfr. One day, the boys went out on a fishing trip. But a storm blew their boat far out to sea. You know? Is that even surprising? Do we find that surprising at all? Ooh, this pink is really pretty. In the dark, they washed ashore on a strange land where they were taken in by a poor farmer and his wife. The woman took special care of Eyjolfr, while the farmer took it upon himself to educate young Geirrøðr. When spring came, the couple gave the boys a boat and let them return home. But as they approached their father's kingdom, Geirrøðr jumped out, shoved the boat back into the crashing waves with his brother still inside, and cursed him to go wherever the trolls might take him. Geirrøðr returned to the kingdom, learned that his father had died. So I'm assuming, it said the next spring, so their father,
Was her father an old man and just died of old age? Or, yeah, what happened there? I'd like to know. And with his older brother missing, he was crowned king. He knew what he was doing when he pushed his brother back into the sea. He knew exactly what he was doing. So many years passed, and both boys grew into men. But Geirrøðr didn't know that the farmer and his wife who raised them were actually Odin and Frigg in disguise. Odin thought that he had won their little parenting contest since his little pupil was now the king, and while Frigg's was living in a cave having children with troll women. You know, Odin's like, oh yeah, I have won this little contest. But Frigg called Odin out, claiming that Geirrøðr was actually a horrible king who starved his guests. But Odin refused to believe this and made a bet with her. Behind Odin's back, Frigg sent her maidservant to warn the king that a dangerous sorcerer was coming to his hall, and that he could be recognized by the fact that no guard dogs would attack him. Geirrøðr wasn't originally in the habit of starving his guests, but now he was a little terrified, okay? He ordered his guards to arrest any traveler whom the dogs would refuse to bite. I mean, I feel like that's not really like a fair thing, because like you could just be really good with dogs and not be, you know, a sorcerer in disguise, because like every dog I've ever met has loved me and has never tried to bite me. So would I would have been taken captive and been accused of being a sorcerer. That doesn't sound very fun to me. Soon enough, a mysterious traveler wearing a long cloak arrived, calling himself Shadowface, and the dogs didn't go near him at all. The king, suspecting Shadowface was a sorcerer, threw him in chains and tortured him for information. But like, that's also a little, you know. A little extra. You're being a little extra there, sir. Geirrøðr tied Odin between two roaring fires, leaving him without food or drink for 8 days straight. The king's 10-year-old son, also named Agnar, after his lost uncle knew this was a horrifying way to treat a guest. Behind his father's back, the young boy sneaked over to Shadowface and offered him a full drinking horn. And just as the flames grew so hot they began to scorch Odin's cloak, Odin cursed the fire and promised the young boy he would be richly awarded for one single drink. I need pack that purple in there, Odin then revealed his true identity, declaring that Geirrøðr was an unwise, drunk who had completely lost all of the gods' favor. Overcome with sudden terror and regret, that's the pink one. Okay, that's what I used for the purple. I don't want to lose this purple when I do my eyeliner. You know, because I do my liner right there. Overcome by sudden terror and regret, the king drew his sword to rush forward and cut Odin's bonds. But as he ran, he slipped and fell and landed on his sword and fell directly upon the upturned blade and died, like instantly. And his kind young son was crowned king just as Odin had promised. And Odin went on his merry way, feeling just had been served without giving a single thought to the original Agnar, who was still living in a cave with trolls while his 10-year-old nephew was left to rule the realm. We just got 10-year-olds making grown decisions. So King Geirrøðr learned the absolute hardest way possible that mistreating a guest under your own roof could cost you your crown and your life. But while Odin was out enforcing hospitality rules among mortals, he was also keeping an eye on Jotuns, because deep inside
a hollowed out mountain, a giant family was hoarding a magical beverage that Odin had to get his hands on. He had to. He was like, that has to be mine. And I must have it. I must. I think I like how this looks. I just need to blend this part right here. So puff out these edges. Oh, Lord. Okay, now we cannot forget about the under eye. No, we cannot. So we're going to put some pink right here. Okay, and then orange. And then make that a little darker. There we go. And then finally the purple. This brings us to Suttung, Baugi, and Gunnlöð. I have no idea if that's how you say these right. That is what Google said. And I did not find a video from Julian on how to pronounce these, sadly. Their names translate to heavy with drink, ring-shaped, and invitation to battle. I am going to put their names up here, okay? We're going to go with the flow. They were a family of Jotun who held the mead of poetry, a magical brew that granted absolute wisdom and poetic brilliance to anyone who took a sip. Suttung and Baugi were brothers, and Gunnlöð was Suttung's daughter. I can put this palette up for now since I'm done with this eye. I just need to do this liner. This story perfectly illustrates the natural animosity between the Jotnar and the Aesir. Even though this family hadn't done anything at all to offend Odin, Odin felt entitled to their magic drink simply because he was the Allfather, okay? According to Snorri, the mead of poetry was born from a truce sealing the end of the Aesir Hrungnir war. The gods all spit into a vat, and from their divine saliva, let me do this wing real fast. A super wise god named Kvasir was created, but he was later murdered by two evil dwarves.
who mixed his blood with honey and fermented it into the one and only mead of poetry. Later, the same dwarves drowned a giant named Gillian and dropped a heavy millstone on his wife's head. See, they took, like, they showed up to Gillian's house, and they were like, the hospitality thing. They had to. Gillian was like, "Oh, hello, hi, welcome in. Would you like to join me for like a little boat?" And then killed him. Oopsie doopsie, killed him. Why did I just close that mirror? Bring this like farther down. So I'm about to do the liner on the bottom, and I don't want to cover up this eyeshadow. So let's put it farther from my waterline. And then, his wife was very upset. Her husband had been killed. And so they were like, "Hey, we'll take him to the place he drowned in the water. And so you can, mourn him, make you feel a little bit better." And then, they dropped a freaking millstone on her head and killed her. Okay. Gillian's furious son, who was Studan, tracked down the dwarfs who offered him the magical mead as a blood debt repayment. He accepted and hid the mead deep inside a mountain, placing his daughter Gunnlöð in charge of guarding it day and night. And Odin sitting at his chair where he could see everything. He saw this and decided that sacrificing his eye to Mimir as well and hanging from the tree wasn't enough. He set out to steal a sip. He needed everything. I am going to do the waterline on this eye, and then I'm going to do my other eye real fast, and I'll be right back. I'm back. This is cute. So, Odin disguised himself as a worker, and he came across 9 enslaved farm hands mowing some hay for Suttung, Baugi's brother. Odin offered to sharpen their scythes with his whetstone. When he tossed the sharpening stone in the air, the farmhands scrambled to catch it and accidentally cut their throats in the chaos. I'm pretty sure that was, intended. Odin then walked up to Baugi and offered to do some work for all 9 of the missing men in exchange for a single drink of that famous mead. Baugi agreed to ask his brother, but when the harvest was done, his brother flat out refused. He was like, "Oh, hell no. Furious, Odin forced Baugi to drill a hole straight through the mountain. Odin realized the tunnel wasn't complete and made him drill again. He tried to trick Odin, but Odin was like, "You cannot pull a quick one on me, homie. Get back to work. Drill that hole." Once the hole went all the way through, Odin transformed himself into a snake and slithered through the rock, narrowly dodging the dagger as the giants tried to stab him. On the other side, Odin found Gunnlöð guarding the mead. He used his charm to seduce her for 3 whole nights. For 3 nights, Odin was all like, "Hey, girl, you're so beautiful." You know, bat in his eyes. Trying to make her feel some type of way. On each night, she allowed him to drink a full horn of the brew until he drained every single drop. Drank all of it. With his belly full of mead, Odin abandoning her, transformed into a massive eagle, as he does, and flew as fast as he could right back to Asgard. The gods placed large vats out in the courtyard. Odin spit the magical mead out into the containers, but Suttung was so close on his tail that he panicked. Odin accidentally regurgitated, or pooped some of that mead out on the tail end. That spoiled portion fell into Midgard and became the source for bad poets everywhere. But the true mead was saved, and this is how Odin became the god of poetry. Odin just doesn't let anybody have anything for themselves. Odin proved he was willing to slither through mountains and trick giantnesses just to get a taste of some genius. But his endless antics didn't always stay. Sometimes his high-stake wagers brought chaotic giants straight through the front gates of Asgard. And when this happened, Thor was the one left to clean up his daddy's mistakes. Meet Hrungnir, whose name literally translates into brawler. He was a legendary giant who possessed all of the classic Jotner traits: arrogant, bashful, entitled, and just a horrible house guest who loved nothing more than antagonizing Thor and Odin. He just loved it. He just loved it. Snorri tells us his story, and it all started when Odin was riding his 8-legged horse. Odin was just, out on a nice little ride and enjoying the beautiful day. While Thor, on the other hand, was out hunting trolls. Thor was just always out hunting trolls or on some random adventure. Wearing a golden helmet and galloping across the sky, Odin caught the attention of Hrungnir, who praised the quality of Odin's stallion. Odin bashfully wagered his own head that no horse in the cosmos could possibly beat his in a race. So the giant accepted this little challenge, and he leaped up on his prize stallion, and the race began. It was wild and fast. Odin took the lead early, and the giant, blinded by his drive to win, chased Odin all the way to Asgard.
and right through the front gates. Odin won the wager, but being a sport, he invited the giant inside the great hall for a drink. He accepted and began chugging horn after horn after horn of mead until he was extremely intoxicated. You know, they just love to drink. They just love to get fucked up. It really did. Oh, I hate this brush. I feel like I say that every time I use it. I hate that brush. I hate it. He started threatening the gods. He bragged that he was going to carry Asgard's hall back to home with him, destroy the gods, and carry Freya and Sif herself. Freya was the only one brave enough to keep pouring his drinks, but he kept boasting until he drained the hall of all the ale it had. The gods finally had enough and called Almighty Thor in for reinforcement. Thor burst through the doors with his hammer raised, demanding to know why a giant was being served drinks inside of their sacred home. The giant snickered and was like, "Yo daddy, Odin, invited me in. He was unarmed and warning Thor that killing an unarmed guest would ruin his honor. Instead, he challenged Thor to a formal duel on the border of the two lands. He returned home to arm himself with a stone. That wasn't the right brush. With a stone shield and a massive whetstone. The Jotnar even built a towering clay giant to fight alongside him. He was 9 leagues tall and 3 leagues wide. His heart was made of a mare's heart, and when he saw Thor arrived, the giant literally pissed himself in fear. He was scared giant. He was like, "Oh, Almighty Thor, I'm scared of you. I'm so scared right now. I'm so scared right now." The duel began, and Thor threw his hammer towards Hrungnir, while Hrungnir threw his massive whetstone back. The weapons collided in midair. The whetstone shattered, sending shards permanently into Thor's forehead, but the hammer kept flying, smashing into the giant's skull and killing him instantly. Thor's human servant easily dispatched the trembling clay giant, but there was one big problem. When Hrungnir fell, his massive leg landed directly across Thor's neck, pinning the god to the ground. All the gods rushed over to help, but not a single one could lift the dead giant's leg. Magni lifted the giant's leg off his father with one hand. And this little boy, he was young, maybe 3 or 4. Thor was bursting with pride and gifted the giant's legendary horse to his toddler son. Thor, however, was a little freaking pissed about this. He was complaining to Thor that he should have been given such a fine horse. He should have given such a fine horse to his father and not his son that was birthed by
a Joden woman. Joden. I'm not gonna put lashes on today. I'm just not feeling lashes today. So, I'm going to do my mascara and my lips real quick, and I will be right back. I'm back. We do some highlighter. I dropped my highlighter, now it's all messed up in the thing. I put some purple mascara on, and then on the tips of my lashes, I put pink mascara, but from a distance, you can't really see it, which is kind of sad, because up close, it looks super cute. It looks super freaking cute. Oh my god, I did it again. Okay, and some powder on my whole face. I really need to get like a little fan, a little hand fan. It would be a lot faster than using this paper. Okay, I think I want to put my hair up like I did last time, because that was super freaking cute. So we fold this like this, and then we take this one and wrap it around. And then you tie it like that. Yes. I feel like I should also tie it with an orange one. There we go. Fold it. Wrap around. Wrap around. Wrap around. It was a little too forward, but it's fine. We can always fix it. There we go. Should we add some gems? Should we add some fun? Some fun little stuff? Because why not? But from mortal kings falling on their own swords to Odin escaping through mountains as an eagle, and a 3-year-old lifting a giant off of Thor, Norse mythology never fails to deliver pure drama. On this one, maybe? I'm gonna do this one. Should we do one on the side? Because why not? Right here? Did I put it on that side right there? Oh, ow. pull this one down a little bit more, make it even. How about we add one of these? Oh yeah, super freaking cute. Oh, where did it go? There. Pull that down. Here we go. And then maybe we add, because you can, oh yeah. Super, super, totes adorable. So, okay, we can just pull that one back in there. Fix it again. Pull it. Oh, why are you being a butt? Okay. There we go. There we go. Put that down. You go down. You go down. Where is the one I used? There it is. Oh my goodness. Oh, just redo it. Just retie it, because that is gonna bother me. Okay. Listen, hair. I need you to cooperate. Okay. There we go. Much better. Sort of. There we go. Fixed it. Now, where did that one go that I just had to put? This is not the one that I had. There it is. Boom. Okay. If you loved hanging out and going through these wild stories with me today, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and grab your friends. Remember, this channel is completely shaped by you. If you have any specific requests for upcoming artistic makeup looks or a mythological story you've been dying to see me cover, leave that down below as well. Thanks for hanging out with me for another Saturday. Stay creative, stay curious, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.